There is a ramp carved into the side of a mountain in Colorado that leads nowhere. It sits at mile marker 209 on westbound Interstate 70, roughly 3 miles below the western portal of the Eisenhower Memorial Tunnel, high above the town of Silverthorne. The ramp is paved for the first few feet, and then the asphalt ends. In its place is a trench of deep, loose gravel, 300 feet long, pitched upward against the slope of the ridge at a steep angle. Great stacks of concrete warning barriers guard the edges. It is signed in bold yellow lettering, visible from half a mile away. Most drivers in passenger cars pass it at 65 miles an hour and never look at it twice. They assume it is a piece of industrial plumbing, built for 18-wheelers and overloaded commercial freight. They are wrong. That trench of gravel is the Lower Straight Creek Emergency Escape Ramp, and according to the Colorado Department of Transportation, it is the most heavily used runaway vehicle ramp in the United States. Over one 5-year span alone, that single patch of gravel caught 75 runaway vehicles. That is 15 vehicles a year, more than one every month, hurtling out of the traffic lanes with dead pedals and smoking wheels. Here is the detail that the warning signs do not explain, and the thing to hold on to as you watch the road drop away ahead of you. What brings vehicles into that gravel trap is not a broken brake line.
It is not poor maintenance or a mechanical fluke that happens only to neglected trucks. What kills the brakes on this mountain is the mountain itself. And it has been taking the stopping power away from ordinary, careful drivers for 50 years. This is not a freak occurrence on an old logging road. This is an interstate highway, and the danger is not where people are looking. Why the road feels safe. Understand first why this road inspires so much confidence. Interstate 70 is not a narrow dirt track carved into a cliffside. It is one of the most engineered, heavily traveled east-west corridors in North America. When you leave Denver and climb into the Rockies, you are driving on a modern 4-lane divided federal highway. There are wide shoulders, reflective lane dividers, steel guardrails, and overhead digital message boards. You do not need 4-wheel drive in summer. You do not need a specialized license. You can drive this road in a standard rental sedan, an SUV, or a minivan with a family of 4 inside and the air conditioning running. That engineering creates a profound sense of security. When a road looks like an interstate, drivers treat it like an interstate. They expect consistency. They expect that if they press the brake pedal at 10,000 feet, the car will respond exactly as it did on the flat plains of Kansas or Ohio. The smoothness of the pavement masks the violence of the geography underneath it. The illusion is strongest at the summit.
At mile marker 213, westbound traffic enters the Eisenhower Memorial Tunnel. You drive through 1.6 miles of tiled, well-lit concrete beneath the Continental Divide. When you emerge from the western portal, you are standing at 11,158 feet above sea level. Ahead of you, the valley opens wide and blue above Straight Creek, with the peaks of the Gore Range rising in the distance. It is one of the most scenic views on the American road network. And right there, at the exit of the tunnel, the highway tilts downward. For the next 7 miles, from the tunnel portal down to the Silverthorne Valley floor, Interstate 70 drops down a sustained 7% grade. That number sounds modest on paper. 7% is a rise or fall of 7 vertical feet for every 100 feet of horizontal travel. But over 7 continuous miles, that grade drops a vehicle nearly 3,000 vertical feet without a single flat stretch to break the fall. Gravity takes hold of the car the moment you leave the tunnel. And because the road is wide and smooth, the acceleration feels gentle at first. You do not feel like you are falling. You only feel like you are coasting down a hill. The thermal trap. To understand what happens inside a wheel on a sustained 7% grade, you have to look at what a brake system actually does. A brake is not a stopping device. It is an energy conversion device.
A moving vehicle possesses kinetic energy, and the amount of that energy multiplies with both the weight of the car and the speed it travels. To slow the vehicle down, the brakes must convert that kinetic energy into thermal energy, into heat, through the friction of brake pads clamping down against spinning metal rotors.
In ordinary city driving, you apply the brakes for a few seconds at a traffic light. The rotors absorb the heat, and then as you drive on, the air flowing through the wheel wells cools the metal back down. There is balance between the heat generated and the heat dissipated. On the straight creek descent, that balance is destroyed. When a driver attempts to hold a passenger car at the 65 mile per hour speed limit using only the foot brake, the pads remain in continuous or semi-continuous contact with the rotors for 7 miles. No time is given for airflow to shed the heat. Within 90 seconds of steady braking on a 7% grade, rotor temperatures climb past 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Within 3 minutes, they can exceed 800 degrees. The cast iron rotors begin to glow a dull orange inside the wheels. At those temperatures, 2 separate failures begin to happen simultaneously. The first is friction fade. As the brake pad compounds overheat, the binding resins inside them break down and vaporize, creating a micro layer of hot gas between the pad and the rotor.
The pad simply skids over the metal without biting into it. You push harder on the pedal, but the car does not slow down. The second failure is fluid boil, and it is absolute. Standard automotive brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the atmosphere over time. Fresh brake fluid has a dry boiling point around 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Older fluid, carrying even 2 or 3% water by volume, can boil at temperatures below 300 degrees. When the heat from the glowing rotor transfers through the caliper into the brake line, that fluid vaporizes. Liquid cannot be compressed, which is why a normal brake pedal feels firm under your foot. Gas can be compressed easily. The instant bubbles of vapor form inside the caliper, your brake pedal ceases to push fluid against the pads. Instead, it simply compresses the hot gas. The pedal drops straight to the floorboard with zero resistance. There is no warning light on the dashboard for boiling brake fluid. There is no chime. One moment your brakes are working, and the next moment your foot hits the carpet, and the vehicle is accelerating towards 60, 70, and 80 miles an hour down a mountain gorge. Not the weight of the car, the heat of the rotor. That is what takes the road away. The error of instinct. The mechanics of brake fade are immutable, but what turns a mechanical reality into a tragedy is human behavior.
The straight creek descent is a trap designed for modern driving instincts. For almost every driver on the road today, the primary tool for speed control is the right foot on the brake pedal. When a car speeds up on a downhill slope, the natural reflexive response is to apply light, steady pressure to the brake. In a modern vehicle equipped with an automatic transmission, the car stays in a high overdrive gear to maximize fuel economy. In high gear, the engine provides almost no resistance against gravity. The entire burden of holding the car back falls on the 4 brake calipers. Drivers do this without thinking. They rest their foot on the pedal, trimming their speed from 70 down to 65, releasing for a few seconds, then pressing again as gravity pulls the car faster. They believe they are driving cautiously. They believe that by keeping their speed moderate, they are staying safe. In reality, light, continuous dragging is the fastest way to destroy a brake system on a mountain pass. It pumps heat into the rotors faster than the surrounding air can carry it away, without ever letting the calipers fully disengage. By the time a driver smells the acrid chemical scent of burning resin from the wheel wells, the system is already at the edge of failure. And when the pedal finally goes soft, a second human instinct takes over: embarrassment. Drivers who feel their brakes fading rarely pull onto the shoulder immediately. They hesitate.
They pump the pedal, hoping the pressure will return. They look at the traffic flowing past them in the adjacent lanes and tell themselves they can make it to the bottom of the grade, where the road levels out in Silverthorne. They do not want to be the car stopped on the side of the interstate with smoke pouring from the wheels. They do not want to call a tow truck. On a 7% grade, hesitation is fatal. At 65 miles an hour, a vehicle travels 95 feet every second. In the 10 seconds a driver spends pumping a dead pedal and wondering what to do, the car has traveled nearly 1,000 feet and gained another 5 to 10 miles an hour of downhill speed. The window for a controlled stop
closes in silence. What the corridor takes. The pattern of failure on Interstate 70 is written into the state's accident archives. It happens to commercial haulers who misjudge their gears, and it happens to everyday drivers who trust their pedals too long. Look first at the afternoon of May 1st, 2019. It was a clear spring day on westbound Interstate 70. A commercial semi-truck had just crossed through the Eisenhower Memorial Tunnel and begun the descent down Straight Creek toward Silverthorne. Within 3 miles, the driver realized his service brakes were overheating and losing their grip against the 20-ton load behind him. He did not hesitate, and he did not try to ride the grade down to the valley floor. As he approached mile marker 209, with white smoke streaming from his trailer wheels, the driver steered his rig out of the right traffic lane and entered the lower Straight Creek emergency escape ramp. Video recorded by a motorist traveling behind him showed the semi glide smoothly into the 300-foot gravel bed.